Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and today we are counting down the top 10 cards we need on Magic Arena right now to help turn Explorer into Pioneer. So before we jump into our list, I should talk a little bit about the criteria I'm using for these cards. So there's obviously a ton of cards that see a bit of play in Pioneer, and even show up in tier decks in Pioneer that we need to have full Pioneer on Arena. But we're not focused on stuff like Kalidas Trader of Get. Kalidas, a great card. It would definitely see play in Explorer if it existed on Arena, but it's not a make or break card. It shows up in random mid-range piles, and honestly, those decks are still fine even without Kalidas. So while eventually I do want every single playable card, and really every single card, that you could possibly need to play Pioneer on Arena, the cards we're going to be talking about today are all cards that once we get them, and in some cases another friend or two on Arena, onto the client, they're going to create brand new decks that pretty much don't exist at all right now in the Explorer format. So that's what we're looking for. Essentially, like, if you add a card in an anthology, or however Wizards is going to add cards to this format, will it make a whole archetype? Will it add a new deck to the format? And those are the cards you're going to find on our top 10 list. So before we count it down, a quick reminder that if you need some paper Pioneer cards, you can snag them from our awesome sponsor Card Kingdom over at cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish, and even get a free MTGGoldfish sticker. Anyway, let's count down the top 10 cards we need on Magic Arena right now to help turn Explorer into Pioneer. Number 10, we have Spell Queller. So Spell Queller is the card that essentially makes multicolor spirit decks playable. Bant spirits, blue-white spirits, those are real decks in Pioneer, and they just don't exist on Arena in Explorer because we don't have the pieces yet. It's relatively low on our list, mostly because we also need like Mausoleum Wanderer and Selfless Spirit. If we just got Spell Queller, it would help Bant spirits or blue-white spirits be playable, but until it gets a couple other spirit Freds, the deck still might not be very good, but it is one of the cards that I want to see on the client in the near future. Number 9 on our list, we got Bring to Light. So Bring to Light is a key piece in Niv to Light decks in Pioneer. Niv to Light, a pretty unique archetype, 5-color Niv pile. Bring to Light helps find your Niv, helps find your other pieces, and that's a deck that just hasn't existed in Explorer yet, mostly because Bring to Light isn't there to hold everything together. So if we can get a Bring to Light, all of a sudden we got a new 5-color Niv deck to play within the format. Number 8, we have Soulflayer. So Soulflayer, definitely a tier 3 deck in Pioneer. It's not tip-top tier, although it does show up in tournament results on occasion. It wins games, and if we get Soulflayer itself, I think we have pretty much all the other pieces we need to build a really fun, super sweet Soulflayer deck in Explorer. Number 7 on our list, we got Reflector Mage, and this was actually a close one. The idea of Reflector Mage is to support 5-color, 3-color human style decks. We do have some humans decks that show up on occasion in Explorer, but they're mostly mono-white or like black-white, sometimes Abzan. So this would open up new colors for humans, but there is kind of a competing card here. The other card we could have went with in this slot is Mantis Rider. Mantis Rider also is a key piece to 5-color humans in Pioneer proper. However, Reflector Mage also shows up in like Bant humans. So I think if you had to choose just one of those two, Reflector Mage would make a bigger impact immediately on the Explorer format. It would open up the possibility of 5-color humans, and it would open up the possibility of Bant humans. While Mantis Rider, as great as it is, really only goes in one deck, which is 5-color humans. Number 6 on our list, we're getting to the range of cards that could create multiple archetypes, and that is Thing in the Ice. Thing in the Ice, key threat in Izzet Phoenix in the Pioneer format. I know it's bumped down a little bit maybe because of Ledger Shredder showing up alongside Arclight Phoenix instead of Thing in the Ice, but still traditionally a key piece to Phoenix decks. Also, it's a really important piece to control decks. Like, is it control style decks, Jeskai, Grixis control style decks, Spellslinger style decks? So all of those archetypes would get a huge burst of power if Thing in the Ice shows up on Magic Arena. Number 5 on our list, we got a very similar card actually that goes in a lot of similar decks, which is Treasure Cruise. Here again, you could go with two different options. There's two big delve spells, Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, but really Treasure Cruise is the one that sees the highest level of play. In Pioneer, it shows shows up in Arclight Phoenix style decks, in various control decks, in like Young Pyromancer Spellslinger style decks. So there's a ton of decks that kind of don't really exist right now in Explorer, since they don't have access to the sorcery speed Delve Ancestral Recall. So once we get that card, we're gonna see a bunch of new decks pop up in the format. Number 4 on our list, we have Monastery Swiftspear. So Monastery Swiftspear, you might be thinking, okay, whatever, like gives burn a little bit of support, mono red aggro a little bit of support. And while that is true, and Monastery Swiftspear would help mono red in the Explorer format, it actually goes in a bunch of different decks. There's like prowess style decks, there's feather style decks, there's heroic style decks. All of these decks are playing Monastery Swiftspear as a 1-drop. So if it was just, okay, we need a card to make mono red better, which I don't think we actually really need because mono red's fine in Explorer right now as it is, that card might actually be Eidolon of the Great Revel. But Eidolon of the Great Revel is pretty much just a mono red / burn style card. Monastery Swiftspear actually shows up in a bunch of places, which brings it in at number 4 on our list. Number 3 on our list, we're entering the world of lands with Mutavault. So Mutavault might not look like much, just a cheap creature land. It's only a 2/2, but really this card is super important to various aggro decks and even some combo decks in Pioneer. So a ton of monocolored aggro decks play Mutavault just because it's a really cheap creature land. It also works in tribal decks, which is relevant to like vampires or something like that. So you get the tribal deck support, and we even see decks that are using it with Book of Exalted Deeds as a combo piece. The same combo that got banned out of Standard with Faceless Haven and Book of Exalted Deeds, essentially giving you a land Platinum Angel. Some decks are doing that in Pioneer. So getting Mutavault in the format is going to help bring monocolored aggro decks into the format. It's going to help make tribal decks a thing and allow for those janky Book of Exalted Deed combos. Number 2 on our list, we got another 1-drop in Elvish Mystic. So one of the hallmarks of the Pioneer format is green decks playing 8 1-mana mana dorks, Elvish Mystic, and Llanowar Elves. That's the first thing I think of actually when I think of Pioneer, is decks that are going 1-mana mana dork into 3-drops. You got Gruul decks, you got mono green decks, you got creature decks, you got Winota decks. There's a huge list of decks that are doing this, but right now in Explorer, we actually only have Llanowar Elves. We don't have its friend Elvish Mystic, which leads to some weird choices. I've tried to replace it with like Gilded Use, but it's so much worse in a lot of decks. And then we just don't have another 1-mana mana dork. So for Explorer to really feel like Pioneer, which is the end game, that's what we're trying to get to, we really need Elvish Mystic in the format, and the sooner the better. Number 1 on our list, in this card, if I could pick one card to appear on Arena for Explorer right now, today, as this video is going live, it would be Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. Nykthos, it is so important to the Pioneer format. If you actually dig through Pioneer deck lists, you will see that every single color of Devotion deck exists in the format and is pretty competitive. Mono green is probably the most competitive, but mono white is also very competitive. We've seen mono black, we've seen mono red, we've even seen mono blue Devotion be a thing in the format, and those decks all rely on Nykthos. Nykthos is not just a part of those decks, it is the reason to play the decks. It is the core of those decks. So once we get Nykthos onto Magic Arena, it's adding 5, maybe 7 or 10 when you count the different variants. There's like more aggressive mono green Devotion, there's more big rampy mono green Devotion, new decks to the format, a huge pile of new decks. So that's the card I'm hoping for the most, because it's just gonna really shake up the format and give us a ton of really cool new things to do. So anyway, that's my list of the top 10 cards we need on Magic Arena right now to turn Explorer into Pioneer. Am I missing anything? What do you think of the rankings? What are you hoping to see added? Let me know in the comments, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and I will talk to you soon.